I am generally a beer drinker, but I have recently been thinking about broadening my horizons a bit. If you enjoy a good cocktail, I am curious what you like. I am open to any suggestions, really, but I suppose I would be less likely to drink something on either extreme, overly sweet or overly alcohol forward with no other flavors. Thank you for your input. Story 1. Spiced rum and Coke Zero. No hangovers. Perfect storms are also pretty good. Dark rum, spicy ginger beer, but contain a lot of sugar, so I wouldn't have more than two. Story 2. With the high prices of seltzers like High Noon, we started making jugs of lemonade with blended and strained cucumber, mint, and jalapeno with vodka. It is very good. You can make it as sweet or not sweet as you want and can hardly taste the liquor. I make a 2-gallon jug that takes an entire 1.75-liter bottle of vodka. Chamoy and Tajin on the rim add extra flavor. Story 3. Paper plane. Equal parts of bourbon, Aperol, Amaro, I use Nonino Quintessentia, and lemon juice, shaken and then strained. At least that is how I learned it. Story 4. 4 cocktails. I like screwdrivers, frozen margaritas, and daiquiris. Sometimes I enjoy Moscow mules, gin and tonics, and rum, usually Captain Morgan, with Coke. Whiskey and Coke is also fine sometimes. Long Island iced teas are also delicious, but a little too dangerous for me. I am in Japan, so I fight hangovers by drinking a hangover prevention drink, a sports drink, and eating a banana, all available at a local convenience store. Story 5. Mostly a beer and scotch person, but mulled cider with spiced rum is a favorite in cold months, and I have never disliked a Long Island iced tea in summer. Story 6. Hard Dr. Pepper. 1.5 ounces dark spiced rum, 1.5 ounces amaretto, top off with Coca-Cola Zero. Tastes exactly like a Dr. Pepper. Story 7. I'm in my vodka lemonade era this summer, with muddled watermelon, a squeeze of lime, and a pinch of sea salt. Story 8. Gin and tonic. A basic, always refreshing drink, close to impossible to mess up, and never served in a silly glass with an umbrella. Story 9. Since it has been so hot this summer, I have mainly been drinking tequila, club soda, and lime. Unlike beer, which I love, I feel no effects the next day as long as I am drinking quality, additive-free tequila. To be fair, I only drink once or twice a week. Story 10. Red Mocha Cooler. Ingredients: Kahlua, Hershey's chocolate syrup, dash of red Kool-Aid. Pour Hershey's syrup into a glass of Kahlua until it is thick, almost undrinkable. Sprinkle a dash of red Kool-Aid on top. Do not stir so it remains thick and undrinkable with the Kool-Aid forming a crispy layer on top. Optional. Serve chilled. Garnish with an orange slice and a cocktail umbrella. Story 11. We recently got both an ice maker and a blender. I am making a variety of blended drinks with rum and frozen fruit, including frozen margaritas. Next on the list is a piña colada. Enjoy the song, but I have never had the drink. Story 12. My go-tos were some mixed drinks, but nonetheless, Bacardi and cola. I preferred white over dark or spiced rum. Cola was sweet enough for me, and the other rums made it too sweet and syrupy. Gin and tonic. Screwdriver or vodka and cranberry. Margarita. White Russian. Red Death tastes like Hawaiian punch but packs the punch of chugging a six-pack. Snakebite is another. It goes down smooth but will knock you out after 2 or 3. I have heard of a few different drinks with the same name, but I am talking about Yukon Jack topped with lime juice. Story 13. Gin and tonics lately in this weather. Hugo spritzes if pouring for my girlfriend and her female friends. Bourbon and whiskey mostly on hold until fall. Story 14. When I do drink, which is rare, it's either a Long Island or a vodka with Sprite. I'm pretty basic and not a big beer guy. I sometimes go to breweries with friends and try different craft beers, but that is even rarer than me drinking cocktails. Story 15. I love Negronis and have a house recipe for a riff on a white Negroni made with mezcal that I absolutely love. I also enjoy old fashions quite a bit and have a couple of house variants of those I routinely make. Both tend to be spirit-forward and a bit on the stiff or polarizing side. I generally describe my cocktail preference as aligned with older men. Margaritas are an easy entry to mixology because they are approachable in terms of flavor profile and easy to make many variations of while experimenting with what you like. Story 16. Last year, I was really into Manhattans but grew out of it after having a couple of bad ones. This year, I prefer Batangas. Story 17. If you are a mezcal fan, I copied my favorite drink from my local spot called Sun and Smoke. Equal parts of lime, mezcal, Aperol, and Velvet Falernum. Story 18. Lately, limoncello and cola. Sweet as hell, but amazing on a hot day if you keep the limoncello in the freezer. It is cold enough when it hurts to hold the bottle for an extended period of time. No real ratio, but I usually aim for 1/3 limoncello and top off with cola. It really just depends on if you want to taste the alcohol. Story 19. I am kind of partial to old-fashioned cocktails, screwdrivers, and rum and coke with a slice of orange. Try it with orange. But my favorite is whiskey and iced tea, whatever that is called. Story 20. Tequila, lime, Topo Chico mineral water. 2 shots, 1 lime squeezed, ice, finish with the Topo Chico. Story 21. Organic 100% cranberry juice and V8 Fusion energy drink. I have stopped consuming alcohol for 3 years now. Story 22. I'm a simple man. Old fashions, but usually with bitters less cinnamony than Angostura. Orange bitters usually, but I will switch it up now and again. If we are getting really fancy, my wife will break out the smoking kit. Story 23. Jamie Oliver has a bunch of great cocktail recipes. Gin takes on other flavors very well. Story 24. Manhattan on the rocks, Palomas, and Mai Tais have been my go-to drinks recently. I do not really drink at home anymore, so I am rarely making my own drinks. Story 25. I have been choosing sweet heat drinks when I go out. Beverages that contain chili flakes or jalapeno. I went to Washington, D.C. in February and absolutely loved them. I want to find some to make myself, but I have been lazy, settling for Cayman Jack variety packs at Sam's Club. Story 26. I have been wanting a rusty nail, but bars do not typically carry Drambuie. I did manage to find B&B at the bar this weekend, so I could not resist. Yes, I am old. Story 27. Lipton raspberry tea and vodka, vanilla vodka with Pepsi or Dr. Pepper, mudslides, cream soda and Fireball, Crown Royal blackberry and lemonade. Story 28. Gin and tonic or an old-fashioned, usually. I used to be more experimental, but I like what I like these days. I drink so little that when I have one, I want what I like. Story 29. Jalapeno pineapple margarita. Muddle a slice or 2 of fresh jalapeno in the bottom of a cocktail shaker. Fill the shaker with ice. Add 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 1/2 ounce of triple sec, 1½ ounces of Blanco tequila, and 2 ounces of pineapple juice. Cover and shake. Pour into an ice-filled tumbler. To get fancy, rim the tumbler beforehand with Tajin spicy salt. To get really fancy, garnish with a fresh pineapple wedge dredged in Tajin. Story 30. I only make Manhattans at home unless I trust the bartender. But Manhattans on the rocks, no S, only 2-inch single cubes, are my favorite. 3 ounces wheat bourbon. I like larceny good all around and not too expensive. Rye if you prefer spicy. 1.5 ounces sweet vermouth. Noilly Prat for sweet with complexity. Carpano Antica formula for herbal and spicy. Or Martini and Rossi for basic. For shakes each aromatic and orange bitters. 2 small bar spoons good cherry juice. Stir with ice for 30 seconds. Strain over a large cube with a cocktail cherry garnish. Not neon red maraschino. Cherries should be like Luxardo or Trader Joe's Amarena cherries. Sip and enjoy. This is basically a double, so it packs a punch at 90+ proof with vermouth. Story 31. About to hit my 1-year sober milestone, but I'll share a few of my go-to drinks, and I'll be biased towards rum. Dark and stormy. Instead of vodka, it's a rum mule. Refreshing. Painkiller, pretty sweet. And if you enjoy coconut, it is probably one of the best tiki drinks. Rum old-fashioned, a good rum like Diplomatico, replacing ordinary whiskey. Adds tons of flavor to an old-fashioned. If I'm being basic, a gin and tonic. Now, as someone not drinking, I'll have soda water and lime. Story 32. Whiskey on the rocks at home and Tito's vodka with soda and a lime if I am at a gig or another bar. Sometimes I drink Hendrick's gin with soda and a splash of cranberry juice. Story 33. There are a lot of great canned cocktails available these days. You can find what you like, understand it, and then start buying bottles. I would say Mezcal Negroni might be a good start. I work at 2 liquor shops and just want to help. Story 34. The Fitzgerald is a cocktail I have been making a lot lately. Shake the following with ice and pour into a chilled coupe glass. Squeeze a slice of lemon peel over the top. Enjoy. Lemon juice from half a lemon. 2 dashes Angostura bitters. 3/4 ounce simple syrup. 1.5 ounces gin. Story 35. I do not drink anymore, but when I did, I usually had a Long Island iced tea. I had a mojito a few times. Story 36. White Russian, old-fashioned, Manhattan, Harvey Wallbanger if they have Galliano, or a Moscow Mule if they have ginger beer. Story 37. Gin and tonic is good for many things. First of all, it is called tonic, so it must be good for you. The tonic water includes quinine, which is good for malaria. The lime is good for preventing scurvy. I can report that since drinking gin and tonic, I have had neither malaria nor scurvy. It works for me. Story 38. I am using a ginger bug to make a ginger beer-style soda with mint from the yard. It makes a great mule. Story 39. Margaritas are my go-to, but I will get a Manhattan if I am somewhere that specializes in whiskey. I also like a sidecar if I am at a place with good cocktail ingredients. Story 40. Caipirinha, cachaca, lime, and sugar. A muddled cocktail like the old-fashioned and mojito, though the liquor of choice is cachaca. Cachaca is distilled from fresh sugarcane juice rather than molasses. It is not as sweet as rum and has a grassy taste that is great with lime. Muddle limes and sugar, add ice and cachaca. Feel free to add some seltzer, but that may not be traditional. Drink what you like. Favorite drink. Story 41. Add 2 slices of pear. Add 2 sprigs of thyme. Add 50 milliliters of your favorite gin. Top up with cold tonic. Story 42. Vodka. I am currently in the stage where I am drinking 2 double shots of vodka straight and then maybe taking a sip of soda or lemonade when finished. Story 43. Summertime. Mojito. Mint julep. Margarita/mescalita. Ginger highball. Top it off with a few light Mexican beers. Cheers. Story 44. 3-2-1 margaritas. 1.5 ounces tequila, 1 ounce Cointreau, half an ounce lime juice, and a dash of agave syrup. Cover with crushed ice. Story 45. I looked like the dude before The Big Lebowski was released. For years after that movie came out, random people bought me White Russians. It is my default drink if I am not having a beer. What can I say? The dude abides. Story 46. I've been a big fan of an Aperol Spritz or Amaro Ciociaro highball on a hot summer day. The Amaro tastes like cola. Margaritas, Mai Tais, and sidecars are my go-to bright and citrusy drinks. I have to go easy on the Mai Tais though, as they are very strong. For more spirit-forward drinks, I like a Last Word or a variation of it. It's amazing what citrus and chartreuse can do. Story 47. I do not drink much anymore due to my surgery last year. I recommend that if you try Long Island iced tea, be aware that it contains no tea. It is easy to get blackout drunk on it. Story 48. Whiskey press. 1/3 whiskey, 1/3 water, 1/3 cola. The water helps with hangovers and reduces the sweetness of the cola, creating a mellow, easy-to-sip drink. Story 49. I like to have the occasional rum or tequila with pineapple juice, or vodka with cranberry juice. It is hard to mess that up. Story 50. I am a big fan of a margarita, especially with different juices mixed in. A guava margarita makes me a happy man on a hot day. Story 51. Gin and tonic. People say it is for psychos, but it has almost no flavor, so if you let the aroma of the lemon and lime hit as you drink, It is actually very pleasant. Story 52. The only mixed drink I will have is gin and tonic or an old-fashioned. The rest of the time, I will have whiskey nearby if I am not drinking beer. Story 53. Crown apple and Sprite, or Southern Comfort and apple juice. You can also substitute Manzanita Sol apple soda for either. I like mine a little on the sweet side. Story 54. Lager shandy when I am in the pub. Whiskey and Coke when I am at home. Pornstar or espresso martinis are my go-to cocktail. Story 55. Not necessarily a specific mixed drink, but more a style. I just got back from Mexico, and the region I was in often adds mineral fizzy water into the mix, like Topo Chico. It works well with many things and, in my opinion, really reduces hangovers. Some favorites are Scotch and Topo Chico, tequila with fruity soda, Sprite, or Squirt plus Topo Chico, and tequila with lime and Topo Chico. Also, a big vote for another mixer that doesn't make me feel bad afterward is iced tea. Bourbon with iced tea, black tea. Story 56. Mexican mule specifically made with Fortaleza Blanco. If I can't find Fortaleza, which has become extremely expensive in the past few years, my second choice is Tequila Ocho. Either of those in a mule is my favorite. Those are real tequilas. Mules are light on calories most of the time too. Story 57. Tito's vodka and club soda with lime. Unless I am having Mexican food or barbecue, then it is beer. Typically, I am not much of a drinker and usually only drink on the weekends. Story 58. Rum ginger beer and a wedge of lime. Jameson ginger beer and lime. Margaritas. Mix your spirits with dry ginger ale and lime or ginger beer. It is a game changer and very delicious. I am currently 9 days sober, but those were my go-to. Story 59. I do not drink often these days, but my go-to is blackcurrant cordial and lemonade with a shot or double of white rum. Story 60. Whiskey sour, old-fashioned, or lately drinking a lot of sidecars. Equal parts cognac, lemon juice, and Cointreau. Or double the cognac and it is just as good if not better. Took me ages to work out the secret to these. They were always almost great. 1 teaspoon of sugar syrup makes it perfect. Story 61. This summer, try a Paloma or a Siesta if you like grapefruit or bitter flavors. Really lovely cocktails. Story 62. Mojitos are my go-to because of how simple they are. I also enjoy a blue Hawaiian or pina colada from time to time. Story 63. Sometimes gin and tonic, other times whiskey sours. Those are my usual drinks. Only when I travel to warmer climates do I choose a mojito, Blue Lagoon, or tequila sunrise. Story 64. Negroni is amazing. The first sip tastes like gasoline, but by the third or fourth sip, your taste buds get used to the bitterness, and you can taste the other subtle sweet flavors. Story 65. A good citrus-based cocktail will go far. Vodka and orange, tequila and pineapple, Paloma, margarita, and more. A gin and tonic can be made in many ways, so you can experiment with different gins and mixers to find one you prefer. My personal favorite is to add a dash of grapefruit juice. Story 66. Out on the town for the evening, I am enjoying an old-fashioned. At home in my yard, hanging out in the pool, I am drinking a ginger shandy. Story 67. Vodka soda is always a decent pick for me. Not too harsh even when it is strong, and with a lime or lemon it tastes pretty good. Also, no sugar or anything, so it does not give me a hangover even if I go on a heavy session. Story 68. During the summer, I like fresh watermelon juice in my India Pale Ale, lemonade and tequila while at the beach, and Kettle One gimlets when in Las Vegas. Nothing special. Story 69. Campbelltown whiskey with glass and nothing. Off topic. Mixed up a French 75 recently, off-brand Cremant instead of champagne, and it sure hits like its namesake. For the lighter loads, a good vermouth with tonic and a spritz of lemon is nice and summery. Story 70. If we're talking cocktails, I've gotten into Corpse Reviver number 2 lately. If we mean spirit and mixer, I'm a fan of some old Jamaica Tiki Fire and Coke. Story 71. A last word. can create many variations such as a bad word, final word, closing argument, Dublin minstrel, and others. The original cocktail contains lime juice, gin, green chartreuse, and maraschino liqueur in equal parts, shaken, then served in a chilled coupe glass with 1 Luxardo maraschino cherry. An excellent and well-balanced cocktail. Story 72. If you are unfamiliar, look into a Gold Rush cocktail. It contains bourbon, lemon juice, and honey syrup. You can adjust the sweetness and sourness to your preference. Shake the ingredients and pour over ice. It is a delicious, refreshing summer cocktail made with ingredients most people have on hand. Similarly, a bourbon smash combines lime, simple syrup, and mint. For the Gold Rush, use a large ice cube. For the bourbon smash, use crushed ice. Cheers. Story 73. Lately, margaritas. Occasionally, old-fashioned. I have found that I do not want the volume of liquid that comes with drinking beer. Story 74. I am into tiki, so the answer is a classic Trader Vic's Mai Tai. It is important to note that a classic Mai Tai is not the fruity sugar bomb found at an average bar that lists one on the menu. It is a great showcase for a good rum, and it is simple to make. Story 75. Full disclosure. I am trying to balance calories and taste. Flavored vodka with water, or flavored vodka with water and flavor enhancer. If I am making a mixed drink, cake or vanilla vodka with Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke. Blackberry Crown Royal with Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke. Tequila with soda and lime juice. Vodka with soda and lime juice. Story 76. There is a drink they have at the Renaissance Fair near my house called Sir Edgerton's Cracked Lance, which I simply call the Cracked Lance. I absolutely love it, especially in the summer. It consists of honey whiskey, originally Yukon Jack, but I use Jim Beam honey, mixed with lemonade. It is super simple, inexpensive, and very refreshing. Another drink is something my dad used to make when we would sit around chatting. It is his take on a Wisconsin old-fashioned. Southern comfort over ice, a few dashes of bitters, topped with 7-Up and garnished with a maraschino cherry. I like it mostly because it is old school and reminds me of my dad. Finally, you can never go wrong with a good old-fashioned Bloody Mary. Half the fun of Bloody Marys is experimenting with different mixes. Personally, I like Major Pete's the best, but if I see a locally produced mix, I give it a shot. I also like to garnish my drink with spicy pickled Brussels sprouts and a pickled mushroom. If you experiment with different mixes, stay away from V8's Bloody Mary mix. It is hands down the worst. Also, a bit of Bloody Mary mix will elevate your chili if you like chili. I make a large pot in my 6-quart slow cooker and add between 1 and 2 cups of Bloody Mary mix. Story 77. 3 of my favorite summer cocktails are the Moscow Mule, Mojito, and Paper Plane. They are all very refreshing due to the citrus, and none of them are overly sweet or alcohol forward. The Paper Plane and the Mojito are both somewhat difficult to make, and one of the ingredients for the Paper Plane, Amaro Nonino, is not easy to find in the United States. A Moscow Mule is much easier to find ingredients for, although I find it is much better with craft ginger ale than with grocery store brands. Story 78. Try a Suffering Bastard. Bourbon, gin, lime juice, Angostura bitters, and usually it calls for ginger beer, but I like to use diet ginger ale. There are versions that use tequila or vodka, but a good gin is the best choice in my opinion. Story 79. Finally, a post that is not about sex. I am also a beer drinker without much taste for sweet things. Gin and tonic is always a good choice, especially in the summer, and you can swap out gin for vodka if you are not fond of gin. Negroni is a very dry cocktail made of equal parts vermouth rosso, Campari, and gin, usually served with a garnish of orange. Whiskey sour and old-fashioned are amazing if the bartender knows what they are doing, but they can be underwhelming if done wrong. I am partial to a dark and stormy too. Ice and ginger beer with dark rum floating on top. Most people mix it together, but the idea is to drink from the top down, starting with straight rum and slowly weakening until it is just beer at the end. Story 80. It depends on whether you are interested in making cocktails or ordering them at a bar. At the bar, it depends on the type of bar. At a cocktail bar, Everything is probably good, so just try whatever sounds appealing. At a dive bar, it is better to keep it simple with options like a gin and tonic, Tom Collins, or margarita. Making cocktails at home is incredibly satisfying, but be careful. You might get hooked immediately and find yourself making infused syrups on the weekend or visiting estate sales for unique glasses. That said, most great cocktails have good ratios and are very cold. Most are excellent if you shake them with ice. No shaker? Use a thermos or an old pickle jar, but do not underestimate the importance of the ice. This realization improved my homemade drinks. A basic cocktail ratio to follow is 2 parts alcohol, 1 part sour, and 1 part sweet. These are my basic go-to cocktails. If you have lemons, try penicillin. If you have limes, try mezcal margarita. If you have good rum, try painkiller or mojito. Story 81. I'm a Guinness and Jameson guy all year round. In the summer, I switch to Landshark beer with a neck topper of Sailor Jerry's rum. I also have the occasional skinny margarita. Story 82. Noticed this post and realized for some unknown reason I, a 41-year-old male, have completely lost interest in drinking alcohol. It must have been 4 to 5 months since I had a beer while visiting my parents and about 8 months since I had a couple of cocktails out for dinner. My go-to drink is Diet Pepsi on ice with a lime wedge. Story 83. I love a gin and tonic, but from what you were describing as your flavor profile, not too sweet, not too spirit-forward, I might recommend a French 75, Paper Plane, or Lion's Tail. Story 84. Don't judge me, but Malibu coconut rum and pineapple juice is delicious. Usually, I only drink beer. Story 85. I also drink beer probably 90% of the time, but I do like a good highball, Negroni, or a Tom Collins or gin and tonic. Story 86. I'm mostly a beer drinker, but I do enjoy the occasional tequila sunrise. I also had an amaretto sour while on a trip and really enjoyed it. This reminds me of the bottles I've ignored. I might make one after work tonight. Story 87. I love old-fashioned. It is my go-to drink. But now that in Southern California we are enjoying our 95 degrees Fahrenheit, or 35 degrees Celsius if you prefer, daily weather, my weapon of choice is Tinto de Verano. 2 ounces dry red wine, 3/4 ounce sweet vermouth, optional. 4 ounces lemon lime soda, 7-Up or Sprite, or use 3/4 ounce lemon lime simple syrup, plus 2 to 4 ounces soda water. Lemon wheel for garnish, or lots of beer. Story 88. White Russians. Take 5 seconds to make, taste great, get you intoxicated, and strengthen bones in children. Story 89. Caipirinha. Wonderful summer cocktail and easy to make. You will need pitu kachaka, available in most liquor stores. Usually, 1 liter costs around $17. In a large old-fashioned glass, pour 2 jiggers of kachaka and sweeten to taste. Quarter 1 lime and crush the lime into the glass. Fill the glass with crushed ice. Enjoy. Story 90. Cocktail is either an old-fashioned or a white Russian. Mixed drink. Jack and ginger, specifically Old Jamaica ginger beer. Story 91. I pretty much stopped drinking alcohol and switched to cannabis for my intoxicant of choice. When I do have the chance to indulge in a mixed drink, I enjoy a Midori sour with gin for sweet drinks or a death in the afternoon for serious tomfoolery. I don't go full Hemingway, just 1 glass. I'm not trying to drink myself into oblivion. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.